Article number 5, due Friday, October 18th. Practice questions 39 through 47 are based on the following passage and supplementary material. The following passage is adapted from an essay about mercury in fish. Mercury is an unusual element. It is a metal, but is liquid at room temperature. It is also a neurotoxin and a teratogen, which means that it causes nerve damage and birth defects. Mercury can be found in just about everywhere. It is in soil, in air, in household items, and even in our food. Everyday objects such as thermometers, light switches, and fluorescent light bulbs contain mercury in its elemental form. Batteries can also contain mercury, but they contain it in the form of an inorganic compound called mercury chloride. Mercury can also exist as an organic compound, the most common of which is methyl mercury. While we can take steps to avoid both elemental and inorganic mercury, it's much harder to avoid methyl mercury. Most of the mercury in the environment comes from emissions of coal-burning power plants. Coal contains small amounts of mercury, which were released into the air when the coal is burning. The concentration of mercury in the air from power plants is very low, so it is not immediately dangerous. However, the mercury is then washed out of the air by rainstorms and eventually ends up in lakes and oceans. The mercury deposited in the water does not instantaneously get absorbed by fish, as elemental mercury does not easily diffuse through cell membranes. However, methyl mercury diffuses into cells easily, and certain anaerobic bacteria in the water convert this elemental mercury to methyl mercury as a byproduct of their metabolic processes. Methyl mercury released into the water by bacteria diffuses into a small single-celled organism called plankton. Small shrimp and other small animals eat the plankton and absorb the methyl mercury in the plankton during digestion. Small fish then eat the shrimp, and then larger fish eat the smaller fish, and each time an animal preys on another animal, the predator absorbs the methyl mercury. Because each animal excretes the methyl mercury much more slowly than it absorbs it, methyl mercury builds up in the animal over time and is passed on to whatever animal eats it, resulting in a process called bioaccumulation. As people become aware of the bioaccumulation in mercury in fish, many reacted by eliminating seafood from their diet. However, seafood contains certain omega-3 fatty acids that are important for good health. People who do not eat enough of these fatty acids, especially eosepentonic acid, EPA, and docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, are more likely to have heart attacks than people who have enough EPA and DHA in their diet. Because fish and shellfish, along with some algae, are the only source of these fatty acids, eliminating them from our diet may have worse effects than consuming small amounts of mercury. Scientists have studied the effects of mercury by conducting tests on animals and by studying various human populations and recording the amount of mercury in their blood. By determining the levels of mercury consumption that cause any of the known symptoms of mercury poisoning, they were able to identify a safe level of mercury consumption. The current recommendation for humans to take in is less than 0.1 microgram of mercury for every kilogram of weight per day. That means a 70-kilogram person, about 155 pounds, could safely consume 7 micrograms of mercury per day. Because haddock averages about 0.055 micrograms of mercury per gram, that person could safely eat about 127 grams, which is about 4.5 ounces of haddock per day. On the other hand, swordfish averages about 0.995 micrograms of mercury per gram of fish. So the 70 kilogram person could safely only eat about 7 grams, about 1/4 of an ounce of swordfish per day. Nutritionalists recommend that rather than eliminate fish from our diet, we try to eat more of the low mercury fish and less of the high mercury fish. Low mercury fish species tend to be smaller omnivorous fish, while high mercury species tend to be the larger carnivorous fish. Awareness of these particular of the problem, accompanied by mindful eating habits, will help us keep the best course for healthy eating. You will find on the next page, you'll find a graph that has lists of species on the left-hand column, their average rate in grams in the middle, and average mercury concentration parts per billion in the right-hand column. Questions. 39. The author of the passage would most likely agree with which of the following statements? A. Mercury poison is only one of many concerns that should be considered when considering which fish to add to one's diet. B, more should be done by scientists and nutritionists to inform people about the dangers of mercury poisoning. C, fish is an essential part of a healthy diet and can be eaten safely if recommendations for mercury consumption are kept in mind. D, the mercury present in the air is more dangerous to people than the mercury consumed by eating fish with high mercury levels. 40. Which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? Is it A, lines 16 through 18? So if I go back and write 16 through 18, read, most of the mercury in the environment comes from the emissions of coal-burning power plants. Coal contains small amounts of mercury, which are released into the air when coal burns. Is it line B, lines 32 through 44? Lines 33, 2 through 34 would read, methyl mercury released into the water by bacteria diffuses into a small single-celled organism called plankton. Is it line C, which is 58 through 61? So we go to 58. 58 says, scientists have studied the effects of mercury by conducting tests on animals and by studying various human populations. Or is it D, lines 83 through 86? 83 through 86 say, awareness of this particular problem, accompanied by mindful eating habits, will help us keep on our best part of healthy eating. Question 41. In addition to the levels of mercury in a specific species of fish, people should also consider which of the following when determining a safe level of consumption. A, their own body weight, B, where the fish was caught, C, the other meats they're eating, or D, when they ate the day before. 42. As used in line 20, concentration most likely needs A, focus, B, application, C, density, or D, awareness. 43. The passage most strongly suggests which of the following statements is accurate. A, it is not possible to completely avoid environmental exposure to mercury. B, inorganic mercury is more dangerous to humans than organic mercury. C, most of the exposure to mercury experienced by humans comes from fish consumption. D, mercury is one of the most abundant elements found in nature. 44. Which choice provides the best evidence for this answer? A, lines 1 through 2, B, lines 4 through 6, C, lines 20 through 22, D, lines through 28 and 32. 45. Which of the following pieces of evidence would most likely strengthen the author's line of reasoning? A, more examples in paragraph 1 of places mercury is found. B, details in paragraph 2 about the levels of mercury found in the air. C, an explanation in paragraph 4 of how to treat mercury poisoning. Or D, more examples of paragraph 5 about how many micrograms of mercury people of different weights could eat. 46. As used in line 84, particulars most likely means what? A, data, B, specifics, C, points, D, evidence. And last question for article number 5, number 47. Based on the information in this passage and the graphic, which of the following statements is true? A, the fish with the lowest average weight is safest to eat. B, a person can safely eat more marlin than albacore tuna in one day. C, eating large fish carries a lower risk of mercury poisoning than eating small fish. D, a person can safely eat more Alaskan pollock than black-striped bass in one day.